So this is probably the happiest that I've been in my life so far. This like last month or so. Business has been going well, fitness has been going well. I've made a new friend who I've gotten very close to recently. And then my best friend Sam, he's come from Thailand here as well for the last month. So I've literally been like hanging around with the boys. We've been recording content next to each other. We've been going to the gym with each other. Super like deep, mature conversations, you know, where we're calling each other out on weaknesses and on like not living to our best values and character. And like so many laughs and just everything. Imagine like living in like a beautiful villa. Actually, I won't show you just in case there's anyone tries to fucking find my address or something, but imagine you live in like a beautiful villa and you have your friends stay with you, like they live with me now, and you wake up all at the same time. Your cameraman comes, you start recording videos in the living room, your friend starts recording videos outside, your other friend starts recording videos upstairs. We record like 1 or 2 videos, then we take a break and we drink some coffee together, we're having a laugh, eating some food, then record more and more. It's like a full day of productivity, but it's like a day of play, of like hanging out with your boys. And we keep, like my friend Kaz just came up to me, he was like, Hamza, I'm so glad I met you, this is like the best my life has been. And I think a part of this, like this is like lifestyle design, this is like socializing, but also, you know, I've built myself up. But I think a part of this, something that you can probably take right away, is that I feel like there's like regulating and dysregulating lifestyles. I think most people, and me for a long time, I was living like a pretty dysregulated lifestyle. I was like, you know, like listening to like aggressive music when I'd wake up because I thought it was like hyping me up. And then, you know, watching more like aggressive, dysregulating content where it's all angry and triggering. And then I'd look at like the, you know, like the comments underneath like Instagram reels. Like you see, like you click on an Instagram reel or something, and then you click on the comments and everyone's like arguing with each other, and you just live in this like stressed, dysregulating, unhealed, kind of like traumatizing, emotional kind of frequency. And you carry this kind of energy around you. Like you listen to like aggressive music in the gym, and then you're hurt, you've got older wounds from family and all this like baggage, these wounds that cause you to be so different, to make you behave in a way that's not as good as possible for you, which makes you choose like short-term options, instant gratification. You ever get like that? Like imagine how different your life would be if you were already healed, happy, healthy. How different your choices would be. Like how peaceful your life would be if, you know, if you sat around and looked at the plants more. I stayed in this villa for a couple months now. I think it's been about 2 months. And I didn't even notice some things, bro. This beautiful plant right here, I didn't even notice it. Like, you know, you kind of know, okay, yeah, outside there's a garden. But I didn't ever look at this specific tree before with beautiful pink flowers up until just like a day ago. And I've been here for 2 months. And when you stop to look at the flowers and the plants, you kind of regulate, you kind of breathe a bit slower, and it's so healthy for you. You end up, like your brain becomes like smarter, you make better decisions, you cheat on your diet less, you speak better and more concisely, and, you know, your cognitive process, like your ability to think and make smart decisions, goes up. Imagine not living like a dysregulated life like most people. Like you probably know so many people, you know, from like school and stuff, who they're just constantly triggered. It all starts with like how your family treated you, like your parents, and then they end up falling down the hole of looking at like triggering content, and then they're pissed off all the time about this, and they're seeing what's happening in the world, watching the news, and oh, this person said this, and then this reality TV show had, you know, these characters that hate each other or whatever. People live their entire lives like that. Like they live their entire lives just like getting constantly triggered. And I swear to God, that ends up with you making worse decisions in like every area of life. I've been chasing, for the past for a few years, I've just been so focused on like fitness and business and work and I feel like all of it might come from the wrong place if you're starting from this like low level or even a high level of dysregulation. Maybe that's just a lesson for you to just think, how regulated are you right now? How healed are you? How often do you just stop and like look at the plants? Kind of like I assume like your mom does, like my mom does. I'll just see her and she like not, she's like not even on her phone. She'll just sit outside and like look at the plants. And she's actually like looking at them. Like I'll come outside and she'll be like, oh, look at that leaf or something. Or she'll be smiling and saying like, oh, there was 2 pigeons on the fence before. Like that's what her dopamine, like think about that. My mother's dopamine is like, there was 2 pigeons on the fence, and she'll be smiling as if she's like so happy that she got to see that. And here we are consuming like so much content. Like think about that. The people who live lives like that, they're just so peaceful. And the thing is, I think you can become even more successful if you do this. I think if you still, you have like the vehicle for your work, like the business career, and you then implement things like this where you start to slow down and become more regulated, I think you'll end up becoming more successful. And this could be just bias, right? This could be bias because you could say like, oh, well, Hamza, you could say, okay, Hamza, you're already successful, right? So I can't really slow down because Hamza, you're already rich. And that's what one of my friends literally just said to me today. And I said to him, I think that I got successful because I was living like this. Like I'm not as sort of peaceful and living like this slow, regulated life as I used to. But I've still always been more on that side than like most people I meet who are just hyper connected on their phones and whatever. It's kind of weird because I'm like a content creator, but I try really hard to like not consume much content. And so one of my friends said like, oh, but we're in different stages, right? You've already got your business. I need to get mine like up. And I said to him like, I actually got my business up by living like this in the first place. Because when you really think about it, most people are living like the dysregulated, angry, agitated, fast kind of lifestyle. Most people are living like that, without peace, without regulation. And most people, when they try and start a business or get into a career, they're not doing so well, right? They kind of struggle. They don't even end up making any progress. When I started in 2020, I was meditating for an hour a day. And I swear to God, it was not like, I just meditated once for like an hour and now I say like, oh, I meditated for an hour. I was literally meditating 1 hour a day for about a year straight, every day. I was journaling for an hour, reading for hours. I was doing like long distance, like endurance, like running, cycling and stuff, which I think is so great for like your mind as well. I was living this very slow lifestyle, only working a few hours a day. And I think that's why I became successful compared to everyone else who was starting at the same time as me. Everyone else who was posting similar kinds of content, like self-improvement content. I seem to have excelled and pushed past like so many people, competitors. I'm certainly not, the best at this in the world, but like I've surpassed my own expectations. And I swear it's because of this way that I've just lived my life, where I'm just like, I've always lived a bit of a slower, peaceful life. And so there's things you can do to kind of implement this for yourself. And I think mindful meditation is one of the best ones, where you close your eyes and you just focus on your breath coming in and out of your nose. And just like right there, you just put all your focus there. And then soon you'll notice that your focus has wandered off. It's no longer just right there. When you notice that your focus has wandered off, all you do is just bring it right back there. You don't judge yourself for it, you literally just bring it back. And you don't get sad when your focus is gone, because that's actually literally the point of meditation, is we lose our focus and then we just bring it back to the point that we were focusing on. And when you do that, you're basically training your attention span, so your ability to sort of focus on what you want, which, and how that sort of translates into real life is you get to live more peacefully because your brain wanders off less, or it probably wanders off the same amount, but you just bring it back faster. Mind wandering is where, like, you know, our brain kind of like thinks something irrelevant and it kind of like goes away from what we're thinking about. And it's like a source of suffering, because you can be here, you know, like I'm in the garden of my villa, it's like beautiful and everything. And if my mind wanders whilst I'm here, like imagine I'm not recording, but I'm like just sat around and I'm thinking about yesterday or tomorrow or whatever, then, you know, it can be a source of suffering, because right here, right now, it's peaceful, it's beautiful here. But your mind will just go far away. Most people's minds will wander because, one, the human brain is just like that, but two, content, internet, comments, all these things, they're so fast paced that they basically train your attention to wander more. Every hour we spend on Instagram, for example, is like an hour of like anti-meditation. So we're anti-meditating for what, like 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day? It's fucking 20 hours a week. Imagine if you meditated for 20 hours a week. That would be insane. And most of us are doing basically the opposite of that. And then, so meditation's like the foundation, I really think that. And then I really like long distance cardio. I really like going on a long run, bike ride, and especially not really staying to the sort of track, like the path, but more like adventuring, you know, just randomly going to new places. That I find that kind of slows my life down a bit, and I get way more in this like peaceful state. Another idea for you to slow down and have more peaceful like regulation in your life is the music you listen to is massive. I have to say this because this is going to sound racist as fuck, right? And it probably is. I don't give a fuck. I feel so bad for my fans who are black and probably even brown as well for some things, right? And it's because like the cultures we come from, especially my black guys here, you come from like a culture which a lot of the sort of famous people from it are just fucking degenerates. And of course it doesn't have to be that way. But when you listen to like a lot of like fucking rap music and everything, it's just ghetto as fuck. It's so like just degenerate and low vibrational frequency and whatever. And you know, there's white people music which is like that, but those white people are kind of stepping into more of that sort of ghetto black culture. And you've got to watch out for that, right? Because all kinds of people are listening to like ghetto music these days. All kinds of people are making the ghetto music, and I promise it's so bad for you, this fast-paced, aggressive music, this music about fucking and everything. And I could talk about this for fucking ages, right? Because my favorite type of music is literally rap music, and it always has been. When I was like a kid, I'm talking like 6, 7, 8 years old, I used to have an MP3 player. So I'm kind of old, right? Chances are, I don't know if you're as old as me, but like I grew up like as a kid in the time we had MP3 players. Like it was like that big, like plastic, no screen, and you would like plug it into the computer and transfer songs onto it. So this is before even the first iPhones and everything, right? And I used to have like Tupac on there, like rappers talking about shooting each other and everything when I was a child. And even still now, it's like the sort of music that kind of like my brain is most receptive to is kind of like UK rap, UK drill music, and like really aggressive stuff, right? And you know what I've noticed is when I listen to that music, when I'm in a season of listening to rap music, whether it's as far as like drill music, which is literally about like stabbing each other, or it's you know, like rappers talking about success and fucking girls and everything, more like, you know, like Drake or something, I've noticed that when I listen to that music, I pursue the same things. I'm like all dysregulated, and I'm like just thinking so much just about money, just about fucking. And you know what's interesting? I usually end up making less money in that season, because then I bring like a dysregulated, weird, agitated version of me to my business. And so when I switch over and I listen to more peaceful music, like basically just like instrumentals, piano music, you know, the type of music that like rich white people would listen to, like wealthy white families. Like, so imagine some like wealthy white mother, like some Karen, but from like a rich family. The type of music that she'd want her sort of daughter to listen to, where it's just like some violin with like basically no singing or whatever. I listen to like peaceful piano music, and as soon as I put that on, it feels like an exhale. and it just makes me feel so much more relaxed. I actually like it's crazy how big this point is, by the way. I went to this meditation center here in Bali. It's like fully okay, it's like a spiritual place. You literally have to give your phone before you go in, right? So you don't have your phone on you. And you meditate and do yoga or ice bath, whatever, right? I did that with a girl like about a year ago. And on the taxi ride back home, I'm so regulated. And we were listening to like peaceful sort of meditation music. And I started to want something a bit more stimulating. And I clicked on like my rap playlist, and it was a song from Tupac. It was Hit 'Em Up by Tupac. And I swear to God, within like a few seconds of it playing, I got like all of this extra sort of like, this extra desire of wanting to fuck. And like, I'm this type of guy. I remember I was so conscious of it. I was like, holy shit, how quick did my energy state just change? When you're constantly listening to music and the same kinds of music, you won't really notice it. But it can have a massive impact on you, and you've got to be very careful. Right? You've got to think like, which kind of culture do you want to be more like? And so music's a big one for me. And just staying aware of these kinds of things can help you like slow down. And like I strongly believe if you slow down and if you start to sort of like regulate your nervous system a bit more, I strongly believe like the goals that you have, like, because I know what kind of goals you're going to have, right? You want to make money online, you want to build a good physique, you want to attract girls. I strongly believe you'll achieve those goals faster if you implement more of this like slow life. And I could speak about this for ages, by the way, because I try and preach this to like everyone, even from the start of this journey. I swear to God, I promise you, I've only ever worked like 10 hours a week. Most people, they work like, young people, they're working like 10 hours a day, and then they make less money than me. And I always try and convince them, and they'll say, no, but Hamza, you've already made the money, so you can work less. And I'm like, no, like when I was poor, I was working like about 10 hours a week, and I swear that's why I became rich. Because imagine like, if you've been working on a business, right, and you've been in this fast-paced kind of lifestyle, I've got to grind. And if I asked you like, okay, gun to your head, if you could only work a few hours a week, let's say 2 hours a week, what task would you do? What's the most essential task for you? Ask yourself that question. For a YouTuber, the answer would be like record content. For I don't know, someone else, it would be the main task, right? And what you might find is if you're the type of guy who's like working sort of a lot, that a lot of the tasks that you've done recently are not even the main task that you just answered with. A lot of the people who like they work so hard and they say, yeah, I'm such a hard worker, I work all the time, everything I do is work, they're just doing fluff. They're not actually getting the result. It's like the young guy who's going to the gym and he says he's training for like 3 hours, 4 hours. And anyone who's kind of studied like, gym, like bodybuilding stuff will tell you like he's clearly just fucking around. But he'll be convinced that, no, like, I really train, I train so hard. But then you'll look at that guy's physique, and it's always like this type of guy. No offense, it might even be you, right? Because I speak to a bunch of my boys who are like this, because the gym is often like the first sort of productive thing you do, when you get onto this path. And so it becomes almost like a safe space. And they'll be like, yeah, I go to the gym every day for 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours. And then they've always got shit physiques. And the guy who goes to the gym like 3 times a week for 1 hour has got a better physique. Of course, I go to the gym for quite a long time, but it's kind of separate. I'm not training for that long. I just go to like a fancy gym that's got like pools and restaurants and whatever. So I still spend like 4 or 5 hours at the gym, but I only train for like an hour. But the guy who's like so agitated doing so much is often getting worse results than the one who's just so peaceful floating through life. And you've got to be really careful for this, because if I go onto Twitter and I see like Andrew Tate tweets, I start getting dysregulated, and I swear to God, I start working more. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, gotta work, war mode. And I'll start doing a bit more random shit. I'll scroll on, I'll write more tweets, and I never end up making more fucking money from doing that. I never end up, like, this is one of my friends, I feel like he's such a victim for this. Like, he just tries to work as much as possible, but then he's not making more money by doing this. It's just foolish, right? Think about it in terms of bodybuilding. You probably have some experience now. If doing more was helpful, every bodybuilder would be doing 50 or 100 sets for chest per week. But you don't, do you? If you've studied bodybuilding, you'll know, okay, you'll do about 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week. Why? Why not 100? Why not 200? Because there's a sweet spot where you will get most of the gains that you could possibly get without working to such an extreme level. And I think this more like minimalist approach is actually better. Like picture this, right? You could do 20 sets. Let's make it a bit more extreme. You could do 50 sets of chest a week. Or you could do 10 sets of chest a week. And if you did 10, you'd make almost the same amount of muscle as 50. And also, you'd lower your chance of injury by a huge amount. If you did 50, you'd injure yourself like probably 3 to 6 times in the year. If you did 10, you might not even injure yourself at all, and you don't need any time off. And you'd recover, you'd hit PRs, you'd get stronger. You'd then be able to grow other muscles because, you're saving time off the rest of the sets. You'd be able to spend more time resting and sleeping and eating, which will help you to grow more. It's the same with business. Like I find that guys who are so agitated and they really want like fast results, they really end up getting worse results. And I feel like this video, like I think what's going to happen is the guys who are already convinced of the sort of slow path will watch this and agree with me. And the guys who are convinced of the speedy path, like the agitated path, they'll watch this and think, oh, what? No, this stuff doesn't work. Yeah, because it's a destruction of their self-esteem. Like if you're still watching this and you're the type of guy who's arguing with me, basically, I'm killing you by saying this. I'm killing your sense of the world when I tell you that you'll literally get better results if you slow down and you do way less. That's why you might revolt against me. And I've noticed when I say this to some friends, they'll almost instantly, I'll feel a bit like vulnerable because they'll almost speak in quite a rude way to me. Because it's like I'm basically triggering your sense of worth, because your sense of worth comes from how many hours you work. But it shouldn't come from how many hours you work. It should come from like what your heart is feeling as you produce that work. Or if you still want something materialistic, at the very least, make your sense of worth not come from the amount you work, because every idiot can work 16 hours a day. It should be from the results you're generating. Imagine you could work 1,000 hours a year and you make $1 million. Okay, awesome. But now imagine next year you work only 200 hours a year and you still make $1 million. Technically, you've just went 5 times stronger, because you've maintained the money, but then you lowered your work rate by 5 times, which means you've become 5 times more efficient. Now, you've saved 800 hours. Imagine you read 50 books that year and the money you've made now goes up to 1.2 million. Imagine you meditate for 200 hours and the money you've made now goes up to 1.6 million, because your brain's healthier, you're better focused, whatever. You sleep more, okay, you've made 1.8. You spend more time with friends in nature, okay, you've made like 2 million whilst only working 200 hours. That's the way that I've been living my life. I think I'm convinced this is the way. It's worked for me, this slow path. And every time I get into this speedy, agitated kind of lifestyle, because it's so stimulating and whatever, I end up always just fucking regretting it. And I look back in this, I've been in this haze for like months. Like I just came out of a period of like ages, of months and months and months of that sort of speedy, agitated, dysregulated rap music kind of season. And I've just stepped out of it a few days ago, and I'm looking at it like, fuck me, it was like a haze where I was dating a sweet girl and I was treating her badly, and I wasn't connecting with friends. I wasn't spending time in nature. My mental health wasn't so good, and my results weren't so good. And the first 1 week I've been kind of regulating again. The results have shot up. I feel way happier. People have noticed the difference in me, and they say, wow, you look like you're in way more peace. So that's what I want for you. And if you want to research this, because if this idea is really triggering something inside of you, the book, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, is an absolute goldmine. It is the book I've read the most in my life, my all-time favorite book. I swear to God, I've probably read it about 15 times now. I seem to read it about 2 to 3 times a year. It's worth recapping every few months. It will give you more of this slow, peaceful life where you'll realize you don't actually have to do that much to maximize the amount of results that you get. And in fact, usually doing less actually gets you better results. If you're the type of guy who usually goes by the sort of higher volume, higher agitated sense. Yeah. A few other books as well. Deep Work by Cal Newport. Stolen Focus by Joanne Harris. Essentialism and Effortless by Greg McKeown, if you want to study this. Hope this video helps you. What a beautiful life I live, where I can just sit down on my little sunbed outside. And that was like a work task for me. Thank you for always supporting me, my family business, letting me live my dream life. Thank you for being here. Goodbye. Give me a kiss.